Hi, everyone. This is Aaron, and welcome to our Solo Network podcast. In this episode, we're going to hear from Pastor David Larry Kim, lead pastor of Harvest, the multi-generational house church-based English congregation at the Korean Presbyterian Church of Orlando. As a member of our Solo Council, we asked him to share some words for churches and leaders during the coronavirus crisis. Thanks for listening.
Here in Florida, um, people who live here in Florida are used to momentary interruptions in life. From May until October is designated as hurricane season. And so come the start of the year, we're always hearing predictions as to whether it's going to be a big hurricane season or a light hurricane season. And regardless, I think most of us don't think much of it. And then when the news comes that a hurricane is forming off the coast of the Atlantic and we've got a week to prepare, I think we usually fall into two groups of people. One who've been there, done that, and have heard the alarm and have thought nothing, either they prepared or they didn't prepare, but nothing much came of it. And the threats of hurricanes just kind of come and go. Then there are others who have lived through some of the hurricanes that have taken a toll on homes, on businesses, on lives, and they do everything they can in order to prepare. And I think we see that there's one group of people, especially as it relates to this coronavirus, who feel like, hey, this is no big deal. Let's go out and life as usual. There's no fear, no threat, no real thought to the needs of other people, just thinking about how it affects them. On the other side, there are those who are saying, yeah, this is going to be the end of the world, and we need to, stock up on all of our necessary supplies and, toilet paper, masks, everything that we think we need in order to weather the storm. But I think at the end of the day, wherever we are, that's kind of the attitude of the majority of people. Let's weather this storm. Let's ride this out. One day it'll be done, and it will be done, but let's ride this out until we can get back to life the way that it was before. But my encouragement would be that this is not a time for that. If it was a 1 or 2 week thing, then maybe we could ride it out and then get back to what we are doing. But this is a seismic shift in bringing about monumental changes in our lives, in the landscape of the world, let alone our country and the churches. It's affecting our families. It's affecting the economy. This is not a let's get through this kind of a moment. But I think there is a call and a mission and monumental opportunities for hope during this time. And I would encourage us to not miss this chance. Each of us as churches have a particular mission statement, a purpose, a reason for being. Somewhere down the line, probably at the beginning of the church, at the birth of a church, there was a DNA that God had given to every church, something that we live and die for. And that DNA is imprinted in the members of the church as well. And this is a time for us to remember those things. There are opportunities for mission and for the vision of the church and for the light of the church to shine now that we haven't had in probably since 9/11. There are 3 days in the life of an unbeliever where they're more receptive to the gospel than any other. There are 3 times that they're more willing to go to church if someone invites them. The first would be Easter. The second would be Christmas. We know that. But the third would be times of national crisis and disaster. And we are in the midst of one. Most sociologists would say we haven't faced anything like this. Most of us in our lifetime, World War II, probably the last time something this cataclysmic or this kind of life-changing thing happened. 9/11 would be the one closest to us in our lifetime. But with Easter and national crisis, 2 of the 3 biggest opportunities that we have, I know that we're upset maybe that we can't be meeting together on the greatest day of the calendar year. But this year, unlike any other year, we have the broadest audience that we've had in our lifetime. And we have the easiest means of getting it. They don't need to come anywhere. They can just tune into a website and they can hear the greatest message of hope that the world has ever known. John Ortberg says that for 2,000 years, people have risen on Resurrection Sunday morning And the call and response is not, and the hope of the world has not been, my 401k has risen, it has risen indeed. Or my investment portfolio has risen, it's risen indeed. My GPA has risen, it's risen indeed. For 2,000 years, the hope of the world has been, Christ is risen. And the response is, he's risen indeed. It's always been the hope of the world, and it will continue to be. And that's the hope that we need to embrace and we need to amplify during this time. We have 2 weeks until Resurrection Sunday, and an opportunity unlike any other. And my encouragement would be, let's do whatever we can through social media, through personal invites. One suggestion that I heard from, it might have been Ed Stetzer or someone else, who said, have everyone in your church write a 1-paragraph testimony of how their life has been changed by Christ, the hope that they found in the midst of the coronavirus and in this pandemic, and linking it to your live stream and get the word out so that we could see the message of the gospel impact and go into homes of people who would have never dared believe that they would ever hear the message of the gospel. But let's seize these opportunities and allow God to do through our church what we've always wanted him to do. This is our time, I think, to shine, and God is giving us that platform to do so.